Hi, I am David Koshitsky. In the 1830s, the Jews of Eastern Europe, living under oppression and persecution, set sail for a new way of life, many settling in Toronto. By 1917, Jewish Toronto's first Jewish Federation was formed. The Federation of Jewish Philanthropies was created to assess the needs of the burgeoning community. Its mandate was to consolidate fundraising for the poor and vulnerable, build a Jewish infrastructure, and raise money for a number of urgent causes. That federation would later become the United Jewish Appeal, UJA Federation of Greater Toronto. Before long, this young federation developed into a beacon of Jewish life, the hub of a remarkable community. From its modest beginnings, UJA Federation of Greater Toronto has grown into one of the world's largest and most transformative organizations, improving the lives of people everywhere by honoring its commitment to Tikkun Olam, repairing the world across the street and across the globe. Now, let's take a journey and look back at how it all began.
We're now walking through the area where most of the Jewish immigrants at the turn of the century and after the First World War shopped at Kensington Market. They came penniless and homeless from the pogroms in Russia, arrived here without a stitch of clothing. The situation of the Jews of Toronto at that time was terrible. Most worked in the garment industry. Their homes were hovels and the work was horrific. Those who did get jobs worked sometimes 18-hour days, and something had to be done for them. The Jewish community had to look after their own. In 1917, the Jewish community formed the Federation of Jewish Philanthropies, where men and women who worked in it worked day and night to make sure that immigrants who arrived off the boat had a place to stay, that their children were looked after, that food was provided, that there was a opportunity to look for jobs. And that organization, the Federation, grew into what we have today, the really generous United Jewish Appeal.
This young federation began to address the vulnerable in our community, the poor, orphans, and girls and boys clubs. Here I am in front of the old Mount Sinai Hospital built in 1923. Long before there was privately funded health services, the Young Federation assisted those in need who required medical attention. This Young Federation has grown today into a very large organization offering many different social services, providing for the needs not only in our community but around the world, including victims of tsunamis, Hurricane Katrina, and other devastating events that people in need have been faced with. Mount Sinai is just one example of the legacy of the great work that our Young Federation supported that has benefited not only the Jewish community but so many people today.
In 1948, when the Toronto Jewish community heard the exciting news of the declaration of the State of Israel, the entire community mobilized and came down here to Maple Leaf Gardens to celebrate the birth of the state and the momentous occasion. In the early years, the Young Federation was there to support the State of Israel during its time of conflict, time of need, and times of celebration. Today, 60 years after her birth, UJA continues to be among the first federations in the world, with the help of our caring, committed community, to unite on her behalf whenever she needs us. Thanks to UJA Federation's tremendous leadership, the Toronto Jewish community enjoys a unique, special, and very strong bond with the State of Israel and its people.
What we have to remember is that 90 years ago, the Jewish community of Toronto was a working class community, and you can see behind me the old Labour Lyceum, now a Chinese restaurant, where most of the unions were headquartered. But even though they were working class, their major concern was getting education for their children. Maintaining Jewish traditions was very important for them. And the early federations helped provide support for the schools, and the Jewish education system started off from little cheters, one-room schools, teachers knocking on doors, asking if there was anybody they could teach. And eventually what came out of those struggles was a school system which is unparalleled in the world today. Toronto is blessed with one of the most comprehensive and successful Jewish school networks anywhere. Nearly 17,000 Jewish students attend UJA federated affiliated day schools and supplementary programs, and UJA's financial contribution to Jewish education leads the world. And for that, the Federation deserves great thanks and should be very proud of how it helped create a school system to preserve Jewish identity and to maintain the Jewish connection.
Holocaust survivors just arrived, and within a decade, they began to rebuild their lives, and having rebuilt their lives, they wanted to build a great community and a great city. The Federation emerged as a platform, building facilities and the infrastructure around the city. So within a short period of time, from 1951 to 1964, Holocaust survivors built two amazing Jewish community centers, the one at Bloor and Spadina and the one here on this property that opened in 1962, the Bathurst Jewish Community Center. So in the last number of decades, we've been fortunate to live in a growing, thriving Jewish community. And to meet this growth, we realized that our infrastructure needed to be enhanced. We hadn't kept up with the pace. We hadn't kept up with the visioning that a previous generation had done. And we imagined three large projects. The downtown project, we built the Wolfont Center for Jewish Campus Life and created the Nadel JCC. We purchased 50 acres of property in North Thornhill, building the amazing Joseph and Wolf Lubavitch campus. And back here on Sherman campus, we're seeing phase one of an exciting development, revitalizing the campus here at Bathurst and Shepherd. And together, these three campuses, we call the Tomorrow Campaign, a $400 million investment in the future of the Jewish community of Ontario and in the future of the city of Toronto. But the truth of the matter is, it's just a continuation of a great history of a community that always imagined what's possible, always dreamed of what is best for its community and its next generation and the following generations, both as Canadians and as Jews.
It began in 1917 with a dream for a better future for our children and our children's children. UJA Federation knew that a dream without action would always be just that, a dream. Toronto's Jewish pioneers could not have imagined the images that UJA and its Tomorrow Campaign have created, the building of a city. Here, the dreams of our ancestors continue to take flight. Here we honor our community's commitment to help repair the world across the street and across the globe.